was the great opportunity to face life head on and live in the real world, if that makes sense. And then I think, when I had my accident, that was just a massive reality check. But what it gave me was the opportunity to call on all the experience that I'd ever had, from school to college, cycling, rugby, football, everything that I'd encountered in my life, even in my working life. How you deal with change, how you deal with pressure, focusing on what you can do rather than what you can't do, and all this kind of stuff. And I think genuinely that's what pulled me through 6 months of hell in hospital. When you wake up in hospital and your legs don't work at the age of 40,
it's a good place to start, isn't it?
You then suddenly think to yourself, what is my life going to entail tomorrow? We all think about our holidays in 2 or 3 months' time, or where we're going Christmas time. But when you think, what is tomorrow going to bring? That, for me, was a massive reality check.
But it's one thing, Mark, to recover from an accident like that, where you break your spine. It's another thing entirely then to go on and become Paralympian gold medalist, MBE. So even though you were doing sport before to a very high level, how did you find yourself in that situation where you had those 6 months of hell in hospital to suddenly finding that you could do this incredible thing on a bike?
I think the 6 months in hospital for me just gave me a total reflection on what I wanted from life. Even after coming from hospital, after being there for 6 months, going back to work part-time to start with, and then making a decision, a realistic decision that it was too much for me. On crutches, living with a disability, dealing with big sales pressures, working in a fast-moving KPI environment was for me really tough. So I just had to draw a line under it and just say, look, this is too much for me. I need to get well first. I need to get healthy again. And then when I found that even though I couldn't walk properly without sort of crutches, however, I could actually push the pedals and pedal in circles. And that was just a lifeline for me, because every time I stepped on that bike, I didn't feel disabled. And it was just a door that opened for me. And I could have gone back to work. My job was there for me. But it was that decision to get well and healthy first. And then in June 2010, I did a charity bike ride, a cycle ride all around Wales, called Cycle Challenge Wales, which was raising money for the Wales Air Ambulance and a few other charities. And one of the guys there asked me if I was training for the Paralympics, because he understood my accident and my disability, because he was a chiropractor. And I said no. He said, I think you should. And it was at that point, the light bulb went off, and just thought, well, I've got 2 years to get myself into the best shape possible, to go through the process of being on the radar, with British Cycling, with their paracycling team, and then to give it 100% and just wait and see, because that's all you can do. And then having lost a lot of weight over the winter period of 2010/11, and then got selected by the British team as a guest rider to attend 5 races, and I came back with 5 medals. So straight away then, British Cycling are now thinking, well, we're 12 months from the games, there could be something in this, this new C1 rider that we've just stumbled upon. And I remember Neil Smith, telling me that the conversation he had was, so where does he come from? We've never seen him before, and we've not seen him at the talent days or the academy days. And Neil said, well, he's fell out of the sky. Literally. and I just felt then, living in the overdraft, having no money, on job seekers allowance, that if I trained hard enough and just hoped that luck was on my side, that it would all work out for the better. And then after 5 races, 5 medals, then being selected for the Paralympic Academy, which meant then I moved to Manchester, lived on the National Lottery funding, and just trained full time, in Manchester, which was for me a dream come true in itself, because I've always wanted to become a professional athlete. Unfortunately, it took me 40 years and breaking my back to do it.
Do you ever think that maybe you could have been an incredibly successful able-bodied cyclist if you started cycling to this standard beforehand, or is just that not way life panned out?
I think having raced triathlon for a number of years and just couldn't get myself under 12 stone, because it's the power to weight ratio, and couldn't get myself under sort of 78 kilograms for love nor money. And yet the people I was racing against were maybe 10 stone, 9.5, 10 stone. So there's that weight distribution loss. And yet I worked full time, so maybe I couldn't put the amount of time into it that I would have needed to. Whereas some of the cyclists, certainly the Olympic sort of cyclists, have been cycling since they were probably 6, 8. So they've had 20 years of cycling.
Well, as they say, every cloud has a silver lining. So fast forward from when you were in the academy to the Olympics themselves. First medal, I'm right in saying, was the silver.
That's correct, yeah.
And
which was actually the very first medal won by a GB athlete at the London Paralympics. So I've gone down in history for winning a silver.
It's not why you're here today.
Yeah.
Then obviously the 3K pursuit, you picked up the gold medal. Can we have a look at
Yes,
the show the camera?
Yeah, this is what I won for my dad, God love him, who passed away in February 2012. So it was a sad loss to me, because he was a genuine gentleman. He was known as Mr. Nice Guy, and he really was a really, really lovely man. And I suppose to represent my country, represent Paralympics GB, and win, almost a dream. For me was a great proud moment. It really was.
I think it's fair to say you've gone on to inspire a lot of people, and partly because of that, you were then awarded the MBE by Prince Charles, Prince of Wales.
That's right.
So what was that day like?
It was an incredible day because if you go back 6 months before that to November, when all the medalists from London, Olympic and Paralympic, were invited to Buckingham Palace to have an evening tea with the Queen. And when I met the Queen and had a 2-minute sort of conversation around my medals, my disability, the experience of London, and how the athletes from London will inspire a generation. That for me was a lifetime experience I'll never ever forget. So then to take my mother and my daughter and my girlfriend to Buckingham Palace for the investiture for me to receive the MBE was almost a day for my mother, because I guess she's been through a hell of a lot, having had a cancer scare herself, then seeing me ending up in hospital with a broken back, and then losing my dad and her husband of 50 years. She's been through a lot, she really has. So for me to take her there, to this globally known house, this palace, was a great moment for me, just to take her there and see her face.
But surely the greatest honour is the gold post box in Commercial Street, Deega.
Very much so, very much so. That is the spectacle of
That's
it all.
mine.
Yeah. But to take my mother there and to see her watch me be awarded, a very special medal by a very special man, was a great moment for me personally.
On the subject of great moments, you've been out with the boys today, the Hope 66 team, cycling around the Wales-English border. So, what did you think? And you can be honest.
I can be honest. I'll leave now, shall I? No, I think the first thing for me, having worked for a hospice, having worked for a charity, and understanding how tough it is to raise funds for an amazing organisation that are obviously looking after really, really ill children, possibly a lot of them who are terminally ill. And as a parent myself, it touches my heartstrings, it really does. And I think when Gary Morton asked me to come along and help on the training ride today and to support the fundraising for Hope 66, it took me probably half a second to think about it, because I just thought, you know, I've got to do this. I've got to help inspire other people and help all you guys, you know, who are going to be going through 2,500 miles, I believe, you know, of hell probably. You know, it's going to be tough out there. It's not going to be an easy ride. So to come here and help people, give them an insight into my life as a professional athlete, you know, because I do this job every day. And yes, to share some secrets. But just to say that, you know, yes, it is tough. However, it's even tougher when only half your legs work.
Yeah.
So just count yourself lucky that you can go out and you can do these training rides and you can ride, you know, the Route 66 and feel really good about yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, it's almost that win-win situation where you're doing something to raise money for an amazing organisation and you're getting fit. You're having an amazing experience yourself. You know, creating friends and bonding friends. That is a lifetime experience. You know, that'll carry memories. You know, for many of you.
I mean, you've overcome some of your physical challenges to become a great success. How much of cycling generally is mental and how much of it is physical?
I think naturally you have to put the physical effort in to turn the pedals, otherwise the bike doesn't move. I think the toughest thing for many people is knowing where their sort of level is, you know, in terms of their pain threshold, their ability, their energy levels. And for me, cycling is all about preparation. You know, because if you don't prepare, you will fail. So it is, you know, hydrating well, eating, you know, every hour and a half, every 2 hours. You know, being conscious of this energy load that you're releasing. You know, when you're actually pushing the pedals. And you may ride for 3 or 4 hours and think, well, I didn't really go very fast, but you've still burnt 1,500 calories or 2,000 calories. So you have to replace that, because then in 3 days' time, when you've emptied your system and then you're running on reserve, that's when it doesn't get very pleasant at all. So it's been a great day. I genuinely have thoroughly enjoyed myself. There's a hell of a lot of characters within the team, which is great. It's really great to have great characters who carry people through, who can actually motivate people when they are going through the tough times, you know.
Well, I think it's fair to say, on behalf of GM Fundraising, we're very grateful for your time, because we know how valuable your time is. But you've inspired a lot of people today, both on the team for Hope 66 and also at Hope House Hospice. And as I say, the way you've overcome adversity and you know, made such a great success of your life, you know, you truly are an inspiration to a lot of people. And thanks a lot for your time, Mark.
No, I appreciate the kind words, and obviously appreciate you know, having me here today. It's been a great day, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I really have. Great memory for me. So thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you very much.